Hi there. In this video, I'm gonna make a very far-fetched attempt at comparing cold medicine to sample development, or having a cold maybe. In my hands here, I have different types of cold medicines because I have a cold right now. And this is like a nasal spray, Flonase. I got some Zyrtec. I have two different types of Mucinex. It's such a charming name. There's red pills and blue pills for day and night time. And then I also have this steroid inhaler. And if that wasn't enough, I also have this antibiotics that I can take after a couple of days. And supposedly that's gonna heal me from this long-lasting cold. And this is where the arguments begin. When this cold started, it was like, oh, it's fine, it's just a cold. The days go by, start getting more aches, start working inside of your head, like your brain, now it's in the ears, I can't hear anything, and it's just awful. The same sort of sneaky behavior happens in sample development, although at a much larger time period and involving more resources and pain as well. Before we get this video started, let me just say that this video is really about sorting out why Adagio has all these different string libraries and the sort of confusion behind that. And I totally get it. If I were you guys, I would be confused as well. Let me just confuse you a little more. Let's just take the ladder of what we're going to discuss in this video very, very quickly. We started with Adagio, then we did Agitato, then we did Adagietto, then we continued in Anthology, then we also got Adagio 1.6 and Adagio 2.0. See, it's so, even I'm lost saying that. So in this video, I just want to take the opportunity to try to clear out why the libraries were organized the way they are and what are the incentives as a sample developer to create all this chaos and confusion. It's certainly not our intention. We want exactly what you want, which is just beautiful, playable libraries. But sometimes we learn as we go. So hear me out in this one. I'm going to try to sort out these different string libraries and why we did things the way we did. But this entire story starts back in 2011. Colin O'Malley and myself had some long discussions about doing our own orchestra. We'd actually sampled a full symphony orchestra before for custom stuff and custom choirs and many other things. But we thought it could be cool to do it how we really wanted to do it. And I want to say we released Adagio violins in December 2011, something like that, around Christmas time. And we did 9 different legatos. We even did round robin based legato, which almost no developers dares touching even today because it's so involving. For every legato interval you do about 4,000 sample intervals. See, it's already getting confusing. We haven't even gotten started yet, and yet we're down the path of complexity. Let me scroll back again. 2011, we released our Adagio violins. We had 9 legatos and a bunch of different arcs. People seem to like it, so we did Adagio violas, Adagio cellos, and Adagio basses over a year and a half roughly from that period on. And it's always difficult when you release because people want everything at the same time, but would you rather wait 2 years or do you want things as we go, as we develop them? And most people tend to say, well, we want it as we go so we can at least get started, but it creates a lot of heat and confusion. So after 2 years, we were like, okay, this and this worked, but we never really got the legatos we truly wanted. And for Colin and I, what we truly wanted was always that bright, beautiful Williams shine legato, that Hollywood legato, if you will, which is a very unique way of recording where vibrato and legato intersect in a certain way, and the way they weave in and out in dynamics is quite advanced. So we realized we actually got to go back and do this thing all over again. And keep in mind, when we did Adagio, just the first 4 volumes, it was 30 days of consecutive recording time. So 30 times 24, it's a lot. And now we're gonna go back and we're gonna do it all one more time and spend a couple of years doing that. That became Agitato. Essentially, Agitato is Adagio 2.0. It's brand new material, everything is done from scratch. It's the same hall, but everything is new articulations and all that stuff. And we learned a tremendous amount of things, and we've got the legato we always wanted, which is legato number 1 in the new Adagio and in Anthology as well. And our grandiose legato in Agitato, just to make it more confusing. So we did Adagio, then we did Agitato, or Adagio 2.0, and then we got a lot of feedback from the community that people loved the libraries, but they wanted a little more easy kind of palette in front of them. So we created this bread and butter library called Adagietto, which was about taking the best articulations, primarily from Adagio, and then infusing them into this very easy ensemble-based library. So all the sections are just laid out on the keyboard. You don't need to load your strings and violins separate. It's sort of more patty type of write kit. And that was cool. People loved that. And then another 2 years went by, I want to say, and we polished the hell out of the libraries and we did Anthology. Anthology was really the dream of taking both Adagio and Agitato and creating like the best of, where we took the best articulations, the best legatos, and consolidated everything. For example, when we were done, and this is just with the first Adagio volume, we had 36 legatos and 100 arcs for Adagio alone. So that creates confusion, and it's even confusing to us. So when we made Anthology, it was like, all right, let's take what really works and let's try to consolidate things here as well. So for example, let's focus more on dynamically layered legato. Let's focus on getting all these arcs in very simple playable patches where the arcs are stacked dynamically and you have a speed knob so you can control the length of them. Essentially dozens and dozens of arcs in a singular patch that's just way easier to use. Let's really polish all the Sodino content because we've spent almost half of our time recording for Sodino only. We're obsessed about Sodino. Most emotional string writing is done with Sodino samples, and we're not a big fan of just using EQ and trying to sort of half-ass it. We actually record all our Sodinos from scratch with the Muton. It's the only way to get that beautiful sound, and if you combine Sodino with non-Sodino, you get more of the Newman kind of vibe to it. So, in summary, we started with Adagio, then we did Agitato, or effectively Adagio 2.0. We did Adagietto, and then we did Anthology. And now, we're back here again. We're starting to update the old Adagio libraries, like what is going on? Hear me out on this one. So, when we did Adagio, that was about a 2-year span, and we had tens of thousands of users that loved those libraries and are still using them to this day. Not all of them went into Agitato or Adagietto or Anthology, so we have thousands of users out there that would love to update their libraries but didn't really find a venue in the other ones. And then we thought, well, why don't we update the old Adagio libraries and sort of start discontinuing our Agitato? Essentially, Adagio owners will be getting both Adagio and Agitato in this new compiled format. A lot like Anthology, but even with more polish to it. Polish on the legato, polish on the arcs. We have these new polyphonic legato techniques. We also have 2 polyphonic legato beta in the library as well. So we're trying to experiment with a lot of new techniques that we want to offer those tens of thousands of users that never had access to Anthology and all that stuff. So the idea is really to say that Agitato and Adagio is now sort of compiled into a new library just called Adagio. Then we have Adagietto if people want to do that, and then we have Anthology if people want to work with that as well. And for all Anthology users, these updates are virtually free. It's going to be $8 just to cover our server costs because these are very large libraries, like in the hundreds of gigabytes. And existing Adagio owners will have similar offers for the volumes they have as well. So there you have it. I don't know if this makes perfect sense. We really thought long and hard about how to do these things. We learn a lot as developers over time. It's not perfect that we didn't put into Anthology, and there's a lot of complications with it, but you know, it comes with a responsibility sitting on so many samples as we are. We probably have maybe the largest sample catalog in the world to this day. And for us, it's not necessarily about just putting more samples out there and just spamming everyone. It's about learning that certain things we get right with samples and certain things we don't always get right. And particularly later down the line, you learn, you look back at development, you go like, all right, that was super cool. That's cool, that doesn't work, and that should certainly never make it back into a library. So you know, the ladder of development is a long, complex, and painful tale of us learning about development and having an increased understanding of how instruments operate and learning from you guys and the community and all the feedback, sitting and fiddling in the DAW, you know, sometimes things work, sometimes they don't. Learning which samples has an emotional impact. I think that's one of the things that really takes a while with development to understand, like, how do we get that perfect legato, for example, that Williams shine? Yeah, I could go on and on about this. God, having a cold sucks. It's not like the cold itself, it's all the little symptoms. Like it's in the throat sometimes, and then it's like in your sinuses and your ears and your voice, and it's just everywhere. What else is there to say? Hey, did you know that Contact is actually 17 years old? I looked it up the other day. It started in 2002. This awesome engine that has created a whole industry. Like, thank you NI, you guys are awesome. Like, I really thank you Native Instruments for having created this fantastic engine for us as developers to be able to express ourselves in and do all these beautiful projects in. 17 years is a long time. One of the inherent sort of issues you have as a developer, and this goes for all of us, is that you have to create libraries for the engine. Imagine you flip that around, 721, like you would actually have an engine that was designed for the libraries and not libraries that's designed for the engine. That would be a beautiful dream come true one day.